Welcome, Juventini, to the All Juvecast, and it's episode 146, and we are going to tackle what went down against Verona in that tough away match there. Ciao right off the bat to Colin, who's joining us right out of the gate here, and I've got Davide joining me today. Davide. Let's start off before we get into anything too. I want to thank you for taking the time to come in and join us. Ciao to Antonio as well, who's joining us out of the hop here, and Alex as well. Davide, let's start off. There's a little tradition here when people make their debuts on the podcast. We like to find out how they became fans of Juventus. And for those of you that don't know, Davide also he's looks after Juve daily and loves to contribute to content as well. So, Davide, tell us about yourself. Tell us why you became a fan of Juventus and how that all came about.
I became a fan since I was watching the World Cup in 2016. World Cup 06 Italy won. I was 1 year old, so I was a baby. And I remember that I became a Juventus fan that time.
Wow, as a baby.
Yeah.
As a little baby. All right. And so over your time supporting Juventus here, give us your favorite player, a couple moments or whatnot that kind of stand out to you.
My favorite player right now is Dybala.
Dybala is your favorite player right now currently.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the uncertainty of his future with his club?
I want him to stay, but I don't know, man. I think he's gonna go.
Kind of torn, eh?
Yeah. I think
Yeah. It'll be an interesting one. It'll be an interesting one to see what develops here in the summer. I personally think we have bigger fish to fry. Bigger fish to fry is the way I'd put it. So this one's a tough one. Be 100% honest here. We got the 1-1 draw with LS Verona. And I've seen the reactions. I've seen the takes out there. I've seen everybody going at this club from management all the way down. We are going to discuss that and break that all down. And I'm sure all our guests here that are going to be joining us live will have their say as well. And by all means, anybody that's joining us, get your questions in, get your comments in. We are going to start off trying to break this thing down from the start to the finish. Okay. And there was a lot of coverage from this channel yesterday. We had the pre-match live with myself and Colin. We had the live stream of the match with live reactions with Antonio and Colin and myself. And honestly, this wasn't a big shock to myself. Even Colin, I mean, we've had discussions, and this was always going to be a tough match. Even dating back to when we got the schedule for February, we always said, these matches, this match is going to be a tough one away to Verona. When you start tacking on the amount of players we went into this one without, Dybala, Morata, Arthur, Quadrado, Bonucci, Chiellini, it was going to be even harder. Did we have enough to cover for it? I believe so. But it was always going to be hard. It was always going to be a challenge. Let's start off with the starting lineups, okay? It was seemingly going to be a 3-5-2, a true 3-5-2. We had Szczesny in goal. We had Demiral, De Ligt, and Sandro. Then we had Chiesa, Bentancur, Rabiot, Bernardeschi, and Ramsey across the middle with Kulusevski and Cristiano up top. When I saw this lineup, I thought, if McKennie's not playing, it's probably because of his hip, because he's got an ongoing thing. The other thing is, too, Kulusevski's had a bit of a flu, and Bentancur's been playing through a foot problem for quite some time now. So even some of the guys that are in aren't 100%, and we covered that yesterday as well in the build-up to this match. But looking at this, I thought this would be just fine. We'll see a 3-5-2, should get some stability in the middle of the park, putting 3 of them in there. We know that Verona is going to flood our midfield. We know it's going to be a battle in there. See what the guys can do. Biggest thing for me was Kulusevski and CR7. I see always a lot of space between the two. See what the guys can do. But I thought this would be more enough, but I called a grind, a hell of a grind, and I thought it'd be 2-1 Juve, how it would finish. Davide, what were your thoughts on the lineup? And yeah, what were your thoughts on the lineup, and how did you feel going into the game, and what did you think as far as like a prediction was?
I didn't like the formation Pierre was rocking with. I'm more like a 4-3-2. 4-3-2. McKinney was not injured. Not starting. He was still injured, but I didn't like Kulusevski as striker. So
sorry, you don't?
I don't like Kulusevski as striker.
Yeah,
he's
that's
more
been
like
one of the things to go around here. Now the other issue is it's very, very tough because you're out of options unless we're pulling up a U23 and going with one of those guys up there. And man, if you're Pirlo and you're in that situation, you're damned if you do. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if he gives the U23 an opportunity and he fails, Pirlo gets absolutely roasted for it. And to have the faith in those guys in a matchup that is going to be tough, that's a tough call, man. That's a really tough call. Fagioli. A lot of people wanted shouts for Fagioli. I still stick behind, and I know that it's tough because we watch a team that made a lot of errors in possession and turn over the ball far too easily. And they say there's no way Fagioli could be worse, but I don't know. Maybe you introduce him at some point in the match, but I still stand behind not starting him in that one. And I know it's unpopular, but I wouldn't have. What did you think about Fagioli? Were you one of the guys calling for him to start this one?
I think Fagioli should have played because.
You think that he should have?
Yeah, I think he should have over Bentancur.
Yeah.
I really like Fagioli because he might be a good future midfield for Juventus.
Yeah. I don't know. Going into a tough match with a team that floods the midfield, you can argue both ways. You could say that Fagioli's been good in possession and that he could have been out there. But the other thing is, too, we haven't seen him face the pressure that he would have against Verona. So it was a tough one. This was a really, really tough call. I think I feel for Pirlo in terms of what his options were and the decisions having to be made there. But let's get to the actual game here. And there's some comments coming in here too. I know I see one from Georg here that I'm definitely going to get to. We'll talk to towards the end here. Let's just go through some quick recaps, okay? So we start off really on the throttle. We get an opportunity in the first minute through Ramsey on a volley, okay, and he smashes this thing, but I think keeper just gets fingertips to it. So it's promising. We're pressing. We do the same thing in the fourth minute. Bentancur makes a nice step in. We're able to hold pressure through the fourth minute. There are some opportunities in there. We just can't find them. One was a low hard cross into the middle that gets cleared by the defenders. Another is a shot that's blocked. So we're putting pressure. We're getting some corner kicks. And then seemingly out of nowhere, Verona comes up to our end. In the 6th minute, they find the ball out on the wing. They beat their man. We lose our coverage in the area between Bernardeschi and then Cristiano Ronaldo does not pick up his man. Bernardeschi, his man is free. And he makes a hell of a header, and Szczesny makes a big, big save, getting his hand to it, and it actually goes off the post. So Very, very nerve-wracking moment there. After that, we get caught in about the 12th minute. Again, playing out from the back. Okay. Trying to play out of the back, trying to be too cute. We need to just pump it up the field, regain space, okay, and set our guys up, but we don't. Rabiot tries to make a play there, gets caught. Chiesa makes a mess in defense there. Luckily, they put a low hard cross across the goal. Nobody can get to the end of it for Verona. But again, frustrating as we continue to be stubborn with how we play. Okay. 13th minute, Chiesa, again, up in the area, takes on two guys, gets a nice low hard shot there, forces a save from Verona. And then, man, we get Kulishevsky with a nice turn in the 15th minute. Finds Rabiot at the top of the area, and Rabiot's got to do better with that shot. Okay, these are the kind of moments that's frustrating for me if you're Pirlo. Because while we continue to rag on Pirlo, the execution from these guys is frustrating and not at a level that should be anywhere near our standard. You know, Rabiot hits that shot, and it looks like he's caught between two minds. I don't even know what to say, man. Like, that's just got to be better. Like, this is a professional footballer. You know what I mean? Frustrating. We continue on. 17th minute, a very, very soft yellow for Ramsey. Unfortunate for him to get that yellow card. It's early in the match. This can dictate how a guy plays the rest of the match too, but it was a good challenge. But they have been so fast to call that when it's from the side or behind. These challenges, we've seen that the refs are just have such a low tolerance, and they're so quick to pull out cards on that. So unfortunate for Ramsey to get an early yellow card. We continue on. 24th minute, we're buzzing around the area. CR7, a couple feints, settles for his left foot shot, goes nowhere near, but we're kind of still working in there. We're kind of still buzzing. And I thought, all in all, things were okay until we started to cough the ball up a lot. We started to make a lot of possession errors. In the 38th minute, Demirel gives an awful one up, where I'm not even sure what he's doing, but he had no options. But he coughs it up. Luckily, we remain unscathed. We go into halftime, okay? And frustrating half in terms of how many turnovers we gave. But, I mean, the guys were fighting. This was a battle. For me, we lacked utilizing Chiesa the way we should have. At halftime, my one call, Davide, was bring in Dragusin, make Sandro and Bernardeschi your wing backs, and move Chiesa to the top, and I would have pulled Kulishevsky off. Not because Kulishevsky was doing bad. Chiesa needed to be up top, in my personal opinion. What were your thoughts at halftime?
At halftime, I was just so mad. Like, we're not scoring. I'm just like so mad about just like the performance the first half. I didn't like. You're right. We should put Sandro at left, Chiesa and Kuznetski in the wings.
For me, it's just, this is the thing. This makes me. This is what frustrates me. You've got a true center back. He is a U23, but you have Dragusin. You're trying to play a 3-5-2. You have Chiesa, who was by far our most dangerous player. But you're using him as a wing back, and he's spending a lot of energy in the back, okay, in our half. So for me, if you're going to play the 3-5-2, make sense of it. I don't care if Dragusin's a U23, play him so you have three true center backs back there. Get Sandro as a wing back, even if we don't want him as a wing back, just get him there. Yeah. Put Bernardeschi on the other side. Slide Case up top where he's dangerous. It just made the most sense. That's what I would be doing. Okay. It's absolutely frustrating for me from that in an adjustment standpoint. The other part that was frustrating is all our turnovers. While we try to attack our players, Okay, and while we try to do this and we try to say that, hey,
I have to connect.
we need to we need to blame our players. It's on the players, the possession, all this and whatnot. Okay, if we're gonna do this, all right, and go at these players and whatnot, we need to ask why. Why is it the constant turnovers? Why are they making all these mistakes? It's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm upset. I'm upset because we're not doing this. But why? Why is this happening? We remained so stubborn, trying to play through the middle, trying to go into where Verona was set up to take us. A couple times we were moving up the pitch nicely, was getting the ball up the flanks, pumping it up, and gaining space. This whole game is about finding spaces, creating spaces, and attacking it. This is unbelievable. Okay. Davide, is this a good time for you? Is there distractions there on your end while we're doing this podcast, or?
No, I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm a little bit distracted, but I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Again, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to hear the players getting attacked. Okay. It's frustrating to see this. It is what it is. Again, when you blame Pirlo and we get into this, and we're going to break it all down towards the end.
Yep.
It's too easy. It's too easy to go at these guys. For me, this game was always going to be a battle. It was a battle. The problem is we lacked a plan. We lacked an actual plan, and we didn't make adjustments. That was the adjustment I was going to call at halftime. Get Chiesa up top. Do whatever you got to do to get him up top. We come out at halftime. We didn't make a change. But what happened right after the half? In the 48th minute, it was Chiesa that made a run that Kulusevski should have been making, but he didn't. Chiesa, right before this goal, was in our own end, battling for it down by the end line. He recovered the ball. We had kept possession. We moved it up. He went all the way up the pitch. Ramsey gets the ball, and Verona had a blackout. If you watch this goal over and you remember, Verona all of a sudden had 3 players that all committed to Ramsey. That left 1 player at the back, and Chiesa ran into the space, taking the defender on. After that, when Ramsey plays the ball through to Chiesa, those 3 defenders that were surrounding Ramsey were caught. And then it was Lovato, the young kid who was on Ronaldo, that absolutely loses him. And Ronaldo runs into the space, attacks it, and scores. 1-0 up for Juventus. That was a big one in this one. We talked about how big getting the first goal was, because if Verona was the one that was going to get the first goal, Juventus would be in big trouble. Because, again, we knew this was going to be hard. Verona plays a 3-4-1-2, which is essentially a 3-5-2, but they turn into a 5-man wall at the back. And we essentially tried to play them the same way. And we did in the first match against them, and that was also tough too. And it also ended in a 1-1 draw. We can't be surprised. So we get the 1-0 up goal. Everybody's happy, but what's everybody thinking? What's the first thing that went through your head, Davide? For me,
Verona's going to score. Verona's going to score.
That's the first thing that came to your head, was you thought Verona was going to tie it. For me,
yeah, because
you can't drop off. We can't drop off the throttle.
I think they were about to score another one to cross. Ronaldo will score. I was thinking I was super hyped able to score, and I was thinking they were about to score a second.
Yeah, it's tough. For me, the first thought that came in my head, don't let off the throttle. You can't let off the throttle. And for about 12 minutes after that goal, we didn't. And then you could see the guys were getting tired in that 60th minute. We actually had a good opportunity in the 59th. Kulusevski made a good run down low. Kulusevski was one of the guys that actually worked his bag off, to be honest. I saw quite a lot of fight out of some guys. But great run by Kulusevski. Lays it off to Ramsey, and Ramsey's shot gets blocked. This thing was going in the net, no doubt. no doubt, from where he was watching the shot, but the defender just stood tall and was in the right spot. And this thing doesn't go in, and that's frustrating because at 2-0, I'd be very, very confident we'd seal that out. But at 1-0 still, this is tough. And then in the 61st minute, Szczesny makes a save from the outside. Szczesny was big in this one. In the 67th minute, we see McKennie enter the pitch for Ramsey. I'm fine with that. I mean, if we're going to get McKennie, he's really our only impact sub off the bench, other than if people want to bring Fagioli in there. But again, all these turnovers, it wasn't just our midfielders that were turning over the ball. It wasn't just Bentancur. It wasn't just Rabiot. Chiesa gave the ball up numerous times. Sandro gave the ball up numerous times. Demiral gave the ball up numerous times. All our guys were coughing up the ball, and it had to do with the way we were playing against Verona. We were playing into their hands, and it was frustrating to watch. 77th minute, there you go. What happens? They tie it. But what frustrates me is it's from nothing. We had the ball in our own end. It was a throw-in. We throw it. It's a couple 50-50s in the air, whatnot. The ball's going to Demiral. Demiral one-times this thing and gets it all wrong. But why does he one-time it when there's nobody on him? He has nobody around him if you watch this play over. He goes to clear it. He gets it all wrong. But for the life of me, I can't understand, because De Ligt goes up into an aerial with a guy that's on him. He wins the ball over, and it falls to Demiral, and Demiral tries to one-time this thing. If I'm watching this, why does Szczesny not command Demiral to settle the ball and pass it back to him? We played through the back the entire match. We played through the back all this time. This opportunity, he just decides to pump, and there's no communication to Demiral that there's nobody around him. That's the part that pisses me off. And then, of course, we know what happens. Verona wins the ball. They catch us with a bit of an overload. Their player gets it out in the middle of the park. He makes an overlapping run on Chiesa. Demiral runs out. Demiral doesn't close the space quick enough. They cross it in, and Sandro, he's never going to win that aerial against Barak. Barak's a monster. He got so high up there. There's your 1-1 goal. But that's frustrating to me, man. That's how frustrating that goal is. And then it becomes the blame game. They blame Demiral. Oh, why did he duck when the guy's crossing it in? I don't know. It's such a bang-bang play. It's tough. But why was it not communicated to Demiral that he had time? That goes back on Szczesny. That goes back on the other players standing around there watching. Make the calls. The communication's not there. They're not leading on the pitch, and they're not getting leadership from Pirlo in these times. There was no adjustments in this game. That's what pissed me off. Would you agree with some of that, Davide?
Yes, I guess. I hate that Di Maria was putting like the pass, and remember that pass that Di Maria did yesterday?
The one in the 38th minute?
Yeah, I was getting triggered about that.
Well, again, he had no options. And we know that Demiral's not a passing defender. We know that. If you look at this match too, the problem a lot of the time, we don't have guys that can ping that ball around. We had opportunities in this match to switch the field up very quickly. We had opportunities to do that. Okay. The problem was every time we had that opportunity, it was at a player who, number one, can't hit that pass, or number two, doesn't even see it because they don't have the vision. And that's the frustrating reality. So even if those plays are there, we're not seeing it, and we don't have the guys capable to take them. It's the reality. It's a sad reality. So we end up drawing this. 77th minute, they end up drawing level. 84th minute, again, we allow Lazovic to just come into our area. We just allow the space. He blasts one. He absolutely smashes one. Szczesny gets tips to it, goes off the post. No. We get a change in the 85th minute. I don't know why you would take Chiesa off. He was our best player, in my opinion, him and Szczesny. I don't know why you would take Chiesa off, but he took Chiesa off with 5 minutes left, and that was a shocker instead of making him all-out attack and moving forward. But regardless, it didn't matter. It ended 1-1 draw, and here we are. For me, I took a lot of heat on one of my tweets after the match because I said I did see fight out of the players. And I did. And I watched this game twice. Don't ask, I'm a sucker for punishment, but I watched it twice. And I still stand behind that. The players fought. The problem wasn't the players fighting. Bernardeschi worked his ass off. You guys, we could talk about execution. The execution was poor. There's no doubt. But these guys worked their ass off. The problem was they had no plan. They had no alternative plan. And this is what frustrates me about this team right now. We are in a mode where we line up the players and we want to play every team the exact same. That does not work and is not good enough. You have to be able to change to the opponent. You have to be able to adapt your game. And that goes on the players and that goes on Pirlo, especially Pirlo. So it's frustrating. We did not make any adjustments. We did not adapt to the game that was in front of us. And for the fans that are so frustrated, you know, if you expected this match to be a free-flowing game that had a lot of opportunities or whatnot, I'm sorry, but you were always going to be wrong. It was going to be a tough match. And it's just, it's so frustrating. But yeah, it's tough. The players, when I see some comments coming in, lack of plan is on the coach. So here's the thing. He had, in the opening, he had the plan. The approach was good. The problem was he didn't react to Chiesa, who was doing well. I think we both agree on that, Davide. Chiesa was our best player, hands down.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He played good.
So we made the call at halftime. Get Chiesa up more in the attacking zone. He needs to be in the danger area. Make a shift there. This is where we don't change plan attack. When you watch the game, we tried to pump it into the middle so much and we kept losing the ball. Our forwards were ice. Verona just ate it up. Every time we tried to go up through the middle, try to get to the force through the feet, playing through the feet, they waited for it and they intercepted it and they stepped to us and they made life miserable. How did we gain a lot of field possession throughout the first half and any time we were? It was down the flanks because we were allowed that 1v1 scenario where they weren't outnumbering us. So pump it up the sides, start gaining your space and push everybody up and start shifting the press onto them. But we didn't do that. In terms of a plan as well, it's very, very hard for Pirlo to do anything prior to the match. That's very, very different because we're limited. We're limited on the players with the injuries and whatnot. This was very, very tough. This is always going to be very, very tough. The frustrating part, again, is the adjustments. But do we really expect that from a first-time management? Do you expect Pirlo to be a master of adapting the game mid-game?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
I don't. This is tough, this question, but I think Pirlo, he should make more subs on game, put some youngsters in, and he didn't. I think Pirlo, I know he's unexperienced manager, but I think Pirlo is not a good manager right now, as of right now.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is what makes it very, very difficult. Pirlo only makes 2 subs from 5 available. Comes in from WY92. So who do you sub in other than Fagioli and McKennie? He didn't even put Fagioli in this match at all. And I mean, you could make the shout with when I see the drop off 70th minute. It was the 70th minute where I noticed, boom, we dropped off completely. Change it up, get the energy. The funny thing was, he made a change 3 minutes prior, and it was McKennie for Ramsey, and it still didn't change any type of energy or anything. But again, we were so adamant about playing the ball through feet and just playing through the back and whatnot. And it was frustrating. But do you make another change? Sure, you bring Fagioli in and whatnot, but some of those other guys, this would be very, very hard to have trust when your entire bench is U23 and the Scudetto, for many, feel like it's on the line and you have to get 3 points. If you guys are telling me you would have full confidence in playing a bunch of those U23s and putting them in that scenario, hey guys, we're about a half hour out here. We're about 25 minutes out. We have to win this game. Go in, shut the door, don't make any errors. Holy fuck. I don't know if I'm there. It's literally U23s on the bench. Like I said, my only shout was you're going to play a 3 center back system. Dragusin is a true center back. Get Sandro out on the wing back and switch it up that way. But other than that, man, this is it's tough. I think at some point, everybody is at fault. The players need to understand too, like, if you've played the game and you've played at a competitive level, you know that there's things you need to be able to pick up and you need to be able to read on the pitch as well. The players are constantly having discussions too. You guys need to discuss too and realize, hey, you keep putting the ball in here. I can't, like, they're cutting it off. There's nothing there. Let's try something new. And again, to go into halftime, players, managers, everybody's having discussions. To come out and not have a switch, an adjustment, is absolutely frustrating. And again, here we go with so Alex coming in with Fagioli. Again, Dragusin for me was the means to get Chiesa up the pitch. Like I said with Fagioli, sure, go with Fagioli in the midfield. I still stand behind not starting him in this match. But the way things were going, the argument's there, absolutely, to play Fagioli. But another thing, too, when we talk about this, okay, Pirlo is battling something with this team that's been happening for years. Davide, how long have we seen this team struggle with approach and mentality?
Say that again.
How long have we watched this team struggle with approach, mentality, and focus?
I don't know.
Probably since Allegri's second to last year.
Oh, Allegri's second last year?
Second to last year, probably that far back. The players. Our roster, I got into a great discussion with Ivan on Nightcaps on Friday night, and it's on YouTube, and everybody check it out. The thing is, we have to be honest with ourselves about the caliber of our roster. Our roster is not as strong as we want to make it out to be. That's just the honest to God truth. It is what it is. I've said this for a while now. Pirlo has a great starting 11 when all his guys are healthy and it looks good and it can manage what he's trying to do with the system and whatnot. Outside of that starting 11, there's a massive drop-off. There's a massive drop-off there. And you can't deny it. What do you think, Davide?
Say that again.
There's a massive drop-off outside of the starting 11.
The starting 11?
Can we agree? Pirlo has a starting 11. Outside of that, there's a massive drop-off in talent. Is that Pirlo's fault? No.
Yes, I think so.
You think it's Pirlo's fault that he doesn't have a team that's up to the caliber for Juventus? How is that Pirlo's fault? He doesn't control what players he has. He has no control over the players he has, Davide.
This one's.
It's really I can't agree with that in any way whatsoever. The players he has not being up to Juve's standard have nothing to do with Pirlo. That is on management. Okay, so this is all these issues. Okay, all these issues have arose over the years. Okay, there's one simple question I can ask Juventini to be honest about, and I'm going to ask everybody that's here on the live. Davide, our roster. Okay,
Yes.
for a team that has made over €1 billion in Champions League over 9 seasons, is this roster as strong as it should be?
I, I, I think so.
You think this is as strong as a roster should be? That's wild. Okay, explain that to me.
I think so because like with our work comes back, probably gonna be done for the year. For the Champions League, um, for the I think this team is strong enough because I think we're going to beat Porto on March. I think.
Okay, and we haven't even got to the Porto thing. We will get to the Porto thing, but right now we're just really dissecting players, the Pirlo, and management. And I want to get everybody's thoughts that's joining us live. Okay, here's the thing: how we're going to do against Porto really is besides the point, Davide. What I'm asking you is, on paper, this list of players that we have, is that strong enough and as strong that a team should see that's made €1 billion out of Champions League over 9 seasons on paper?
So
You're
again,
telling me the list of players we have is as strong as it should be?
strong. Strong. I think I don't know this question.
Okay, Davide, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody that's joining me live, I need the answers here because for me, it's a simple no. This roster is not as strong as it should be for a team that's pulled out this kind of money. And if we want to look at some of the errors, okay, if we want to look at some of the errors that management has made, here's where it's at, okay? Some prime examples, regardless of what we think about the players. I know how much Cancelo's been talked about. I'm not even going to get into Cancelo, but here's some of these issues, okay? Here's some of these issues. You have Kane, Moise Kane, who gets sent off, okay, gets transferred out. We literally tried to bring him back. If that isn't a sign of management being lost and kind of being all over the place, I don't know what is. Transferring Spinazzola to write the books and all this. And then all of a sudden we go into a season with no left back coverage from Sandro. You know, a midfield that's never been replenished and always had patchwork done through free transfers and whatnot and all this, and not properly stocked. And now, while I have no problems, I have no problem with us playing U23s and thinking about this, but to try and actually say we need to depend on these guys or rely on them is a little tough. There's a fine line there between being happy with U23 guys getting minutes. There's another argument there for having to rely on them. And this is tough. Davide, do you need to maybe go into another room?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mal comes in here with, this has been 3 years coming. We jumped on the Ronaldo deal when we had glaring holes. I still question that decision. What was the end goal? Pirlo is too green of a coach for this team, lacking quality. Now, this is all it's all relevant. It's a great point, and it's a tough one. This is a tough one to dissect, okay? Because at the time when Cristiano Ronaldo signed, we thought our team was at a higher echelon. We thought we were over here, and it turns out we found out we weren't. Okay? That's the reality of it. In hindsight's always 2020. Maybe we weren't equipped because it brought on even more patchwork for this team. But I'm still waiting for answers from everybody that's on live if this roster is that of one that's pulled that much money from Champions League. I don't think it's worthy of it, to be honest. If we can look to some of the teams that have made that type of money and how strong their roster is, and even just I don't even know. I'm at a loss. I have so much mixed emotions about this team right now. The game planning, the management ahead of Pirlo, the decisions they make. This is a tough one. This is so tough surrounding this team. Everybody has had their faults. Management, Pirlo, is Pirlo perfect? By no means. By no means has he been perfect, and I wouldn't expect it, But the players, I don't think our roster is as strong as people make it out to be, Davide. That's just me. I think we have far too high expectations. What was your expectation at the start of the season when we signed Pirlo?
To win the Scudetto.
So your expectation was the Scudetto and nothing more?
Scudetto, Coppa Italia. I was not thinking about the Champions League because I knew we were gonna do the same thing as Champions League. It's what's Lyon, but we'll just focus on the 10th Scudetto.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't know if in my heart I believe we could do it. Of course we could do it. Just based on our DNA, our makeup and everything, and the fact of where the league stands. And I still always say that we are in our rivals' heads no matter what. We are always in our rivals' heads. And the mental breakdown that you see year in, year out over these clubs when it comes down to the wire, I thought Juve would still be close and we could probably pull this one through. But I wasn't dead set 100%. Yeah, we're winning this 10th straight when Pirlo joined. I had excitement about Pirlo because of who he is, and I want to see him succeed because he led our revolution. But I was also, in the back of my mind, very, very critical of this team. Very, very critical of this team, bringing in Pirlo to manage this side right now with no experience whatsoever. It's very, very hard to put all of this on Pirlo and everybody say Pirlo has to get fired. This has upper management all over it because everybody wants to keep bringing up this win now mode. You're in win now mode. I don't know. I think that win now window was gone. I don't think we're in a win now mode anymore. I don't think we're in a win now mode right now. I think everything's kind of shifted, and I think it actually shifted when we realized we didn't have a team strong enough once we brought Ronaldo in. And I think it shifted. And I don't think there really was a win now mode after Allegri left. I think when that comes and you see that we've gone stale and we're stagnant, we realize that bringing in Ronaldo was pointless because we need a rebuild. We need a revolution. We need to clean house. And the problem is we can't clean house properly because of these players. You know, we have too many guys that don't hold value to other clubs, like Juve. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, Davide? Like, who
Yeah,
are
it
we?
makes sense a little bit.
You can talk about all these players. We can talk about players we want to get rid of. Who's going to be buying these players? And this is even without COVID. This is even before COVID. We had problems getting rid of Higuain. We couldn't do it. You get stuck with, and it's not that you're stuck with, but Mandzukic, it is what it is. You get stuck with Khedira, who Sami Khedira, by the way, injured again. Big surprise there. But this is hard. So Mal comes in here saying this is all on management. Pirlo has been dealt bad cards. Yes, he has had a bad start, but he figured out who works and who didn't. Injuries are killing us. And again, I tend to agree. I still say this roster, you have 11 good starters, solid starting 11. Outside of that, when we mix in guys, it starts to fade and we start to lose that. This is just the reality. The players have to look themselves in the mirror. Pirlo, he's got to get better at the in-game management, but that is not something that is – I don't expect it to be at the level of a guy we had who was great at it, Allegri. Allegri had so much more experience, in those moments doing that, being able to shift guys around. And Pirlo doesn't have that yet. I'm not saying, get there, but now we have a tough decision. We have a really tough decision. For you, Davide, I feel like I know what the answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask you, Pirlo, are you at a moment now? Are you on the Pirlo out train?
Yes, I just tweeted yesterday.
Pirlo out.
Yeah, I think Pirlo needs to go. I think.
So Pirlo's out, and we start again all over. You bring in a new system, you bring in a new manager, and my concern is when does management take accountability? When does management start to own up to so many of these bad moves? I need to start seeing them build a team and stop worrying about the names and the marketability and whatnot. I need to start seeing some transactions that make sense for the team we're building. We have makeshift players in positions, and we're asking players, we're shitting on players because we don't have a regista, and none of these guys can play regista, and we're shitting on them because they're making mistakes. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. For me, it doesn't all end at Pirlo. Okay. And if we do fire Pirlo, still, management has got to do a much, much better job of building an actual team. When we look at the list of midfielders, who sets themselves apart? And again, the Fagioli thing. If we're asking for U23s to be saviors, that's a fucking problem in its own. It is. And here's the thing. Here's a good question. Do you think the team is untrainable coming in from Delzona? Or do you believe that the right coach can get things ticking smoothly?
This team is untrainable, untrained. I agree on that, probably.
You think the team is untrainable? If you think the team is untrainable, then how come you want to fire Pirlo?
Never mind. I don't.
that would go against firing Pirlo, right? Here's the thing. Here's the thing for me. I don't think the team is untrainable. I think we are so stubborn. I think Pirlo has been a bit stubborn in his methods and how he wants to play, especially playing out of the back. And I question. Let's look at some of these moments that have come up that we think about. Okay, Szczesny. You read about it in Pirlo's thesis, playing out of the back, and he even said it after this match. Yeah, we played from the back, and we continue to play out of the back. He's like, there's advantages that come from playing from the back. Sure, there's advantages from playing at the back, but if you're going to field a team that can't do it, what the fuck is the point? If I'm being 100% honest, what the hell is the point if you have a team that can't do it? Szczesny has suffered so much through the season at moving the ball. Sometimes it's been decisions. Porto, first goal, just going to throw that out there. But there's errors. There's errors that are being made from even the keeper going there. Then you talk about control in the middle of the park. Every guy that's been a part of that has made errors. Arthur's probably the strongest only because he's so damn hard to get off the ball. He's barely ever been dispossessed in it. And that kind of makes us get away with it. But when he's not in there, and you have a lineup like this, you've got Sandro, De Ligt, and Demiral at the back as your three backs that not any of them are strong at moving the ball. And then you got Szczesny back there too. And you're requiring to do this against a pesky side like Verona. This is frustrating. This is very, very frustrating. I don't think the team is untrainable. I think we need to stop asking our guys to do something that they're not capable of. And for that, I'm kind of with you, Davide. And I will blame Pirlo on that because we continue to ask guys to do things they're not. But we've also done that historically. And that does kind of come back to transfers because we're not getting the right guys. And we're filling in roles and we're changing players when they get there. And it's incredibly, incredibly frustrating, and it's just one of those things where right now I say you can look at everybody that's involved, players, Pirlo, management. They are all at fault to some degree. But if you ask me, does another manager come in and change things and do better? Let's get into our formation. And do we think we're playing our players in the best way possible?
I don't think so because McKinney is playing the right. Sometimes he's more like a midfielder.
Yeah.
And Kuznetsky is playing striker, and he's not a striker. So I'm more like putting like one striker atop, like a 4-3-3. Put Betlesky at the left. I know he's not left. Put Ronaldo at striker. Put Chiesa at the right wing, and put Ben. Arwar is injured, but Arwar, Dybala, and McKinney at the 4-3-3.
Arthur, Dybala, and McKinney as midfielders?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So you're essentially, what you want to do is a 4-2-3-1, because I would assume you want Dybala to be an attacking mid out of the middle.
Yeah, that's what I want. He's more like a cam guy, so.
So here's my thing. When we talk about this, and if we want to really dissect what Pirlo's doing. So what Pirlo's doing makes sense to me in terms of trying to maximize offensive output without sacrificing defensive stability. If we go to a 4-3-3, which we were playing under Sarri, which we were playing under Allegri too and whatnot. Okay. You have Cristiano Ronaldo out there, automatically checks off no defense. Okay. So if you're lined up 4-3-3, you would assume your basic defensive shell is 4-4-2. Still always goes back to 4-4-2. I don't think we'll have enough support from our fullbacks. The whole point of him using 3 and shifting into this 3 at the back thing is that we can get those guys more involved. Okay. So that's the thing. If we go to this 4-3-3 or whatnot, it's I question our solidity, and also if we play Dybala in there as one of those 3, if we want to do this 4-5-1, and you've got Chiesa out there too, and Ronaldo, that's 3 guys where the defensive help's a little limited. Chiesa will work his ass off. I'll give him that. Dybala, I don't see him being. I don't see him having the physical, meeting the physical requirements to do all aspects of that job. I think it's very, very tough there. You know. For me, even in this particular match, if you look at the Verona match, if you see a team that's going into this kind of shell, and if you look at some of the opportunities we had where we started to do well, when we were pressing and whatnot, we were sending an extra guy. We were sending extra players. There was times Alexandro got involved in rushes and started coming up through the middle with give and goes and whatnot. He should have realized that at some point and held 1 midfielder back and sent 2. Okay. And that way, all of a sudden, we're not attacking with 4, we're attacking with 6. And if you watch Verona when they come at us, they were attacking in numbers. Teams do it to us. You have to risk a bit more. So I'm still questioning Pirlo as well with reading the game in game. But again, I'm not super critical of him for it because I don't expect it. This is so tough, you know. And with Pirlo, while everybody's going at him, with the lineup there, what other options did he really have outside of starting a U23 in the midfield?
None.
What else did he really have?
Only like a couple non-experienced players, mostly, or like, you're right, mostly
That's
23 team.
Yeah, so we wanna rag on him and we wanna say, you know, Pirlo out, but in a match like this, that's very, very tough, very, very tough on him too. And I think if we're gonna talk about Pirlo as well, you know, here, let's go like this. When we saw this schedule, again, we talked about this earlier. We always knew this was going to be a tough match. We just have issues generating opportunities. This is one thing that frustrates me. We talk about Pirlo and whatnot. And Sarri had the same thing. Sarri had it worse than Pirlo because we went matches, almost entirety of matches without attempts on target. And I know that in this one, we didn't have many. I think we had 5, on target. And that's including some soft ones. Here's the thing. Okay. When we have these low blocks, these 5 at the backs, we just seem to not be able to create. But Sarri had that problem. And even Allegri, his play became stale. And we started to see chance generation fall down. And we've been, even at the best of times this season, low in terms of creation. And it just comes down to, for me, not having certain skill sets. I think while there's a lot of discussion here on Allegri and people make comparisons and talking about Allegri at the back, Allegri also, we got away with those individuals that were able to carry the ball so much, that were able to beat guys 1v1 and whatnot. It wasn't always like this solid, cohesive unit. You know, it really was in his first couple seasons. But then it really changed. And this particular match was such a broken match against Verona. You had a ref where you didn't know what was going to get called, what wasn't going to get called. You had an absolute battle in the trenches in the midfield, a ton of 50-50s. It was a broken, ugly game, and I expected it to be that grind. So while we want to dissect all this and go at all these guys, coaches, whatnot, there's a ton of injuries. I still say the quality of this team outside our main 11 is not there. And I ask everybody one more question that I've been asking recently. Who is world class on our team? Who walks onto any team across football? Davide, who's your world class players on Juve?
World class? That's a really good question.
So let's go with okay. Even if you want to throw keepers in there, you could throw Szczesny as world class.
Buffon.
Szczesny's a good keeper. Even Buffon, whatever. Sure, let's throw. But that's two keepers. Whatever. Let's go to outfield players. De Ligt, 100%.
De Ligt.
People are saying Demiral, and I'm not quite there yet. I like Demiral. He's not world class yet. Okay, so I'm not going to give Demiral.
Right
in
back,
the midfield?
No right back.
I don't have any midfielders of ours as world class.
Same.
I don't have any one midfielder in ours as world class. Up front, Ronaldo. The argument could be made for Chiesa, but I don't see it just yet. I think he could get to world class. He's not there yet. Some were throwing Chiesa out there. But for me, and how could we ever forget about Pinsola?
Yes, he is world class.
On his day, Dybala can be world class. On his day. Okay? That is not enough players. This goes back to my earlier question, Davide. Is this roster good enough for a team that's taken 1 billion euros over 9 seasons out of
I don't think so.
Exactly. It just isn't. We have to be honest with ourselves. And if we're honest with ourselves, I think it levels out these expectations. And I still say, because I've said it on the podcast, I even said it last season. I said this. I said when we signed Cristiano, because every time, if we've been paying attention to Ronaldo, he always has this little stretch during seasons where he kind of has a bit of a slump, right? So his numbers are still staggering. He's had an incredible goal scoring rate since he's joined Juve. But there are these little blips here and there, and you could see it in his attitude. We're kind of just getting through one with him, where the body language was kind of negative and whatnot, right? But the questions come up. Did Juventus make a mistake signing Ronaldo, right? At that time, you would always sign Ronaldo on that 100 million euro deal. I don't think anybody, and this is a good question for everybody joining us live right now too. If you could go back in time, do you still sign Ronaldo? For me, that deal at that time, you still take it every time because he's a game changer. What changed was our perception of our roster, because we were starting to find out that I think Allegri's greatest strength was finding results with a team and making us believe that our team was actually up here when we weren't. We weren't. Allegri, no matter whatever anybody thinks of him or whatnot, was able to maybe, he had us believing that what we were doing is what we should have been doing and that we weren't actually overachieving. And maybe we were overachieving with what we had. And it had us believing that we were up here. And now I think when we brought Ronaldo, I don't know if it was almost like a change of mentality that like now it was like a given, you just brought in this game changer, like Mr. Champions League. We're going to just take on the world, and everything else kind of faded or whatnot, but I think we really saw where we truly stood in terms of this team. And also bringing him on, maybe we just weren't set up to financially with some of those other moves and decisions we made. And that's a lot of money tied up, and we're battling it now. And I want to ask everybody this question. I want to ask you, Davide, this question.
Yes.
With his contract coming up next season, how does everybody feel about extending Cristiano Ronaldo's contract? If it were in your hands, would you extend Cristiano Ronaldo?
I wanted to, but I think he needs to. I don't think so.
You wouldn't extend Cristiano Ronaldo?
No, I like Ronaldo, but like I know he's trying to help us win the championship, but I don't think so.
This is a tough one to be honest, and I think this next, and this is the thing too, is as important as all these next mercados are, we still have COVID that's looming, right? So the financials, the missed revenue, we've already seen a glimpse of what the number is currently halfway through a fiscal year where it's negative 105 million euros that the team sits. He's taking a lot of money. He's producing, he's doing his job 100%. But would it be better for the team to spread the money out? And that's a fair question to ask. And people have to be honest with themselves as Juventini. And the fanboys, they don't...
Oh, I hate the fanboys. Oh my
the
God.
fanboys have to just understand that this is not a knock for anybody that says no, they wouldn't extend the contract. It's not a knock on Cristiano Ronaldo. This is a realistic look at the situation Juventus is in. We have holes in our roster, and you can't... we can't continue on with patchwork. So however the patchwork comes up, whether it's multiple contracts, whether it's guys we can't sell or not, you have to right the ship and you have to start building a team properly. I am excited that Locatelli seems to be the main target for Juventus because he's got a set of skills we need desperately. Davide, what are your thoughts on Locatelli?
I like Locatelli.
What's that?
I like Locatelli. He could be helping the midfield for Juventus in the Champions League and in the midfield too with Arwar and McKinney and Locatelli. I really like Locatelli. I know he scored against us. He was at Milan. That beautiful goal.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I
kind of faded too right after that. He scored that, and then he really just went down in Milan, and then he's had this incredible resurgence at Sassuolo.
Yeah, Sassuolo's a good team, but I think I like Locatelli. I think he's gonna help them midfield very well for Juventus.
Yeah, this is Locatelli would be fantastic. I'd even be happy as an alternative to Aouar with DePaul. I think DePaul is too many Juventini are not giving him enough respect. I think he's a solid player. And it's funny too, because that happens, you know. It's one of these things where people just think that these guys aren't to Juve caliber. But right now, if you look at our caliber, our standard with the guys we have, there's a big drop off. So right now, I'm willing to take chances on guys that have skill sets that make sense to building a team. It doesn't have to be the flashy name, doesn't have to be the big high bucks. Spread it out evenly, build a solid team, build a team that makes sense from the back forward. And I'm curious to see what some of these guys think. Here's Antonio saying, it's time to make peace with it, guys. We won't win the league. Far too inconsistent and basically used all our lifelines up. But for me, we will progress in the Champions League past Porto. So here it is. The question, is the Scudetto gone? Davide, Scudetto dead with that result?
We're not winning the Scudetto after that performance.
So it's over. It's
over.
over.
I think it's over. It's probably right now. I don't think so.
Here's the thing. We've got we're 7 points behind, level on games. There is still the Lazio verdict, which could offer us 3 points there and make it 4. That's just another lifeline. You know, and there's the update right there. Merda are already 1-0 up.
Oh my God.
So, you know, for me, the Lazio verdict would just be yet another lifeline. It's very, very complicated now, and we need a lot of help because it's a 3-game swing, being 7 points. This is, it's tough. You can't really see the club doing it. I mean, it's not over until it's absolutely over, but it's looking pretty bleak right now. We need a lot of help, and we're asking for a team that's only worried about this competition to start faltering, but they are well prepared. I will give them that. They've caught up to us in only 2 seasons. They're not paying anybody, but they've caught up to us. And the thing is, it stings, but it wasn't going to go on forever. You know, it wasn't going to go on forever. The time comes. What I'm more looking to is the response from upper management. I need them to start showing me that we need to be taken seriously. You know, that's what I need. That's what I'm going to be looking to. As far as the Scudetto, stranger things have happened. Anything can happen. But in terms of Porto, you said earlier you believe we're going to advance past Porto.
I think so, but after that performance against the Verona, I don't think so.
I don't know. I think what's gonna change is, you know, and we might technically only have one competition to worry about too, depending on what happens with Porto there. But man, we're in a skid, but we've got a lot of guys unhealthy, and again, it just comes down to the caliber of the guys we have, and Pirlo's struggling to make do with what he has. And you could blame him for it. Some people could blame him for it and say, hey, he should be able to do better with these other guys. But my frustration isn't not so much getting more out of those guys. It's trying to alter what he's asking those guys to do. You know, this Porto match that we're going to start talking, this is going to be tough. I think it's going to come down to who he has available. If we get close to that best 11, I think we'll go through. If we don't, and it's still kind of makeshift, I think we're going to struggle, and I can maybe see us, struggling the way we did against the
Lyon
Ajax match and just be flat. The problem is there's multiple issues. There is no just one. You know, and everybody's looking for this blame game or whatnot. This is just the reality of where Juve is. The fact that people are still considering win now because Ronaldo is still around, it makes no sense, because how could you be in a win now mode when you're playing so many fringe players? You know what I mean? And you haven't bolstered the roster enough and whatnot. Like, it's just your core has changed too drastically. to still be in win now mode. And that's part of what I was speaking to earlier with the players and everything. It just needs to make sense about building a team. The fact that you brought in a first-time manager, this is why I say upper management needs to start looking at themselves here, because bringing in a first-time manager, okay, does that make sense for a team that's in win now mode? Why would a team that's in win now mode bring somebody in with zero experience? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So that's all I'm getting at. This is a tough one for all of us to take and dissect and whatnot. This is going to be very, very challenging little stretch here for Juve if they're not getting guys healthy. Let's be 100% honest. We can criticize Pirlo for not getting better out of these other guys we have, but this is just the reality of where we're at. I think we have a great 11. Outside of that, we need a lot of work. A lot of work. We need to start building better sides. It's a frustrating one. And, man, what do we let's see with Antonio coming in here. Second place, Supercoppa already won. Win the Coppa Italia and go as far as possible in Champions League. If that happens, we should be happy considering the circumstances this year. And I think that's a great way to kind of finish it, because honestly, if we expected Pirlo to come in and just lead us to the treble, never having coached before, I think that's extremely unrealistic. That's all it is. And I think a lot of people create this feeling, and if you're setting these expectations unrealistically, is it really on everybody else around in that situation, or is it kind of on yourself? I don't know. This is a tough one. I did see one comment out there that kind of made a lot of sense. And when we want to rag on Pirlo and everybody that wants to go after him, while I'm saying he's not innocent and he has his faults, but if you take your car keys, okay, you drive a Ferrari, okay, Davide?
Yeah.
You drive a Ferrari. You have a novice driver. You give him the keys.
No, I'll keep
crashes it. Crashes the thing. It's total. It's destroyed. Is it the fault of the novice driver, or is it the fault of you for giving him the keys?
My fault to give the keys.
Yeah. It's kind of where I'm at. It's a little bit of where I'm at, overall with Pirlo, I think if we were realistically looking at it, I think what he's done is probably right along a realistic outlook. Competing at the top of Serie A, winning the Supercoppa. He's in the final Coppa Italia. Champions League's yet to be determined. And again, if we had all our guys without such an injury crisis, I'm curious to see. I'd be curious, and that's maybe what's making me think a little bit differently than the drastic Pirlo outs right now and whatnot. So I don't know. David coming in here saying it's always the leadership's fault. Ultimately, they are responsible. That goes for everything in life. And there you go. Now, Pirlo is leadership as far as the players go. Upper management is leadership in terms of Pirlo and the players and overall. And there's leadership on the pitch that takes over in terms of the players. The issue is that we have issues at all those leadership levels. And I think on that we can all agree. It is what it is. Ride it out. Strap on your seatbelts, okay? And ride it out. Let's see what happens. But Pirlo out.
Yep.
I feel bad. I feel bad for him, I gotta say. I think if we don't at least make the top 4 finish in Serie A, if that's now all of a sudden starting to be in question, this team is for sure, even with the quality of the players, if we talk about it being a lack of quality or whatnot outside that starting 11, we're still good enough to finish in the top 4 of Serie A. If we don't finish in top 4, if we're missing out on a Champions League, that's critical. And then maybe I think you can have a serious discussion about getting him out. But if we finish in the top echelon of Serie A, we're in the final Coppa Italia. If he wins that, we get a couple trophies there. Depending what happens, Champions League too. It's really not that bad for, again, a guy that didn't even have his coaching ticket when he took the job. So I think, again, let's let it play out. Let's see what happens. Let's hope for getting these guys back. Davide, thanks for joining me, man. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you out. Take care. And thanks again. Okay?
Yeah, no problem, anyone in the chat.
Gotcha. Okay. Ciao.
Ciao, guys.
And for everybody that's still here, okay, we're gonna just continue on. I'm gonna do a little bit of an extra time with all of you, and if you guys have questions, just fire them out here, because I know that I see some things going out here, and oh man, it's a tough time right now, and it's always after these tough matches, but we just get so critical, and then we'll get a victory and we'll just get so high, and this is kind of what I'm seeing out of everybody right now. But it's tough. I think, again, what I tried to do in this particular episode is just round out everything, okay, and take an actual realistic look at all aspects, okay. And that's what quite a few of us have been doing on certain shows. I know Ivan and I had a real good breakdown discussion on Friday. Again, that was the Nightcaps episode, and we really dove into a lot of the reactionary stuff that you see out there, and some of it is involving past deals. But it just, when you look at those, I totally understand fans' frustrations. I 100% understand fans' frustrations. I have frustrations of my own, but they're more in terms of the upper management. Again, it always, one of the comments David provided, saying it always goes on leadership. It always goes on leadership. The fact of the matter is that the leadership, there's multiple levels of leadership. We're being let down by all phases of leadership. The leadership that we need on the pitch hasn't been available to us for most of the season. In one area of the pitch, we actually don't even have the leadership. We have one that's more talented than the rest in the middle of the pitch. We have a young up-and-comer who's quite talented, but he's not a leader. You don't have that guy in the middle of the park that's going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and take over and actually have the self-belief to take over. The confidence lacks in quite a few of our players, and this is tough. It's a tough spot to be in. Pirlo, he's that cool, calm, collected kind of guy, okay? But again, he's going to need time. He's still trying to figure out what type of coach he is, and while we all have questions about, the style of football and what he's trying to accomplish, I guarantee you he has questions about it. And maybe having been a player and just recently taken away from it, maybe he also has a little too much faith. Maybe he has a little too much faith in some of these guys. And maybe he has too much belief in their capabilities and whatnot. Maybe that's hindering him too. But then you talk about management and the upper management, where it all starts from. I cannot help but stress enough that if you took this team, gave me this roster sheet, and told me that this team has dominated domestically for a decade, and if they took almost $1 billion out of Champions League, this is the roster, I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't agree. And I don't know. I see from match to match, I do see Pirlo making changes. But the problem is, if people want to say, why did Pirlo not adapt from the first game where it was a battle against Verona as well, make those changes? He didn't have changes to make. The team he lined up with was the team he had available. There was a couple outside options. I don't see that as being the answers, but in game, there were some things he could have attempted. Absolutely. For that, I will criticize him. But overall, this is a multi-level situation that we're in right now, and Dell's coming in with, have you seen how pissed off Nedved has gotten on the sidelines in the past few games? Yeah, watching Nedved, and we said this on the live stream of the match during the live reactions, watching Nedved on the sideline there is literally like staring into a mirror for me at how I watch games, because I get pissed off. I'm reactionary at the moment and whatnot, 100%. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see what it's come to. And again, you get used to winning. You get used to finding results. When it doesn't start happening, man, it's when it doesn't start happening, frustrations kick in, and maybe Nedved starts to feel like his job's on the line if based on how they assess things too. I think those guys are feeling the heat too. This is everybody's job, and right now it's not going the way they wanted to. But again, it's got to all make sense. You hear Paratici saying our team's complete. Well, he tried to get out there and go after a bunch of players. Now we all said it too at the Mercado. Well, we should be getting another striker. And Kulishevsky has a good game. But again, I was like, I don't know if we could, and I was saying at the time, I don't know if we can really necessarily bank on him. Maybe you can get away with it, but we need a playmaker. You needed one. You either needed a playmaker or you needed a striker. They weren't able to get a deal for neither. And lo and behold, the one thing we all feared most was injuries. And we got them. We all said, what if Morata goes out? Well, Morata's been out for a while. And Kulishevsky, he worked his ass off against Verona, but it's just, it's without a plan. That's all it is. It's hard work. Hard work. We're banking on the individuals, and it's not carrying through. The plan, lack of planning, lack of adapting, and flexibility in this one hurt us. It absolutely hurt us. Antonio coming in. Alberto, you look stressed, bro. It's 14:30 over here, and it's happy hour at the Tondo residence. I have a cold one on me. Well, at 6:30 a.m., my friend, I will not be having a cold one, but this evening I'll be having a cold one on you, brother. Juventini, again, ride it out. Let's ride it out. There's no point in relieving Pirlo of his duties at this point in time. Ride it out. See what happens. But all I ask is everybody take an actual overall outlook on all phases of the club and really take a look and break down, because it's far too easy when we play the blame game and pick out a few and just say that's it. Everybody's had their part to play, and it's been happening for years. Okay. It's been happening for years. It is what it is. We have a lot of work to do in terms of the roster. Pirlo has a lot of work to do in terms of himself. But, man, again, there were a couple opportunities. I still say the biggest error we made yesterday was not capitalizing on Federico Chiesa. He should have been moved higher up the pitch, and we should have allowed him to influence and dictate kind of what happened. He was our best player, and having him spend so much time in the defensive phase is frustrating. Again, if Cuadrado's not around, or if Cuadrado's around, I don't think that's an issue, because he essentially played Cuadrado's role if we were playing that 3-5-2. Again, you're playing a 3 center back system. I know you have more confidence in Sandro than you would at U23, but you use those guys as wing backs. Bring Dragusin in. Have faith. You had to do something that got Chiesa actively involved all the time. These are my frustrations with this one. But the biggest thing for me, and all I can say to everybody, is this was always going to be a tough match. And getting a draw in this one, it sucks, especially when you have the lead and whatnot, but you can't let off the throttle. And for me, it's so frustrating because that's been an issue that's happened consistently. And this is why I say, if you go back to 2 years into the last 2 years of Allegri, we always went into this shell, always let off the throttle, always were banking on doing that. We have to change. We have to truly change. You can't do that and bank on that. Okay. And the thing is, now what frustrates me more is not necessarily a draw away from home against Verona, but it's all those earlier matches that actually hurt even more. Not showing up against Fiorentina, not showing up in Derby d'Italia, an extra time fuck up against Lazio, those are the ones that hurt more than a cagey, tight affair away from home in Verona. It's those ones before, and those ones when you don't even show up or you have complete mental blackouts, those ones are the ones that are completely enraging more than a really broken, ugly, chippy, dirty game that ends 1-1. So it's a tough one. And yes, Colin brings up a point, and if a couple of those opportunities go the other way for us, be maybe saying things a little bit differently, but it's tough, and that's how fickle things can be. But let's, again, strap on those seatbelts and ride it out, see what happens. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Hopefully, after the midweek match against Spezia, we can have a win to discuss. Let's, I guess we're limited to watching the rivals and results and see what happens. But one way or another, again, let's level out the expectations, and maybe we can maybe enjoy certain things a bit more, but it wasn't going to last forever, and it's not totally over yet. So all we can do is strap on seatbelts and ride it out until the end. Fino alla fino. Forza Juve. Ciao.